For people that consume very low carbohydrate or zero carbohydrate diets, are they pulling more energy from muscle? So, which I imagine is a conversion of amino acids into ready carbon chains.
Yeah, I mean, in this particular case, once you've reached a certain level of adaptation, you've just gotten extremely good at generating glucose from other fashions, right? So you can bias heavily towards fat adaptation. The downside is, and we've seen this borne in the literature, you're going to perform slower. So if you don't care about maximizing performance, especially over something where it is a maximal effort for a few minutes or something, then maybe you're not concerned. And that's absolutely great, especially for people who just don't exercise. Then, hey, geez, very little concern here. But if you're interested in your performance and you're wondering why you're just like slugging it down, well, what you've done is you've down regulated the ability, literally the enzymes responsible for that entire anaerobic glycolysis portion, they get down regulated, which means there's not as much around anymore. And so you get really bad and slow at using carbohydrates as a fuel source. So it's a very poor strategy for people in an anaerobic based sport or who like that type of activity. And if you don't care, no problem. If you don't exercise at all, then you really have no problem there, which is actually why a high fat, low carbohydrate nutrition strategy for people who don't do much physical activity is probably it's very effective. It is a really good strategy for weight management, for energy stabilization throughout the day. And the research would very much support that.
In my observation, I would agree. I've tried low carbohydrate diets of severely limiting or completely eliminating carbohydrate. And after about 2 or 3 days, I feel pretty lousy, but mostly because I want to train very intensely in the gym. In addition to doing longer runs, I tend to do all of those things across the week.
Yeah.
But I've also observed, and in fact, know several people that love the very low carbohydrate, aka ketogenic type diet. They're not doing ketogenic diets for mental health reasons per se, but indeed, those people tend to do very limited exercise, or they tend to do a lot of long endurance, but low intensity long endurance. These are the I walk to get my exercise types, and they do indeed walk a lot. And some of them manage to control their weight very readily and like that diet for that reason. When we had Lane Norton on the podcast, he pointed out quite aptly that in order to lose weight, you have to restrict something, either time or macronutrients, et cetera, to arrive at that subcaloric threshold, get below the sub-maintenance threshold.
I guess one of the things I want to point out is this should be received as, again, not a this is better or worse. This is just, you now have a ton of options. So whatever personal preference, other factors, you get to craft this strategy of performance, aesthetics, and health based on your personal preferences.